that was in The Matrix Reloaded. Monica starred as the Merovingian's partner Persephone in The Matrix Reloaded. She was also cast in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, remember? She played, who else? Mary Magdalene, which of course ties in with the Freemason Dan Brown and the story told and shown to you in a book and a movie called The Da Vinci Code, in which it stated that Jesus Christ escaped the cross, fled to France with Mary Magdalene, who he married and had children with, and whose bloodline is, of course, belonging to the ancient Merovingian dynasty. Remember, Heath Ledger died on January 22nd. Berenguer Saunier, who built a tower to the goddess Mary Magdalene at Rennes-le-Château and kept their precious secret, also died on January 22nd, 1917. Heath Ledger died of a heart attack, the actual cause of death, at 421 Broome Street in New York on the 22nd of January. He was found dead by his housekeeper, Mrs. Solomon, as in King Solomon. The area in which Ledger was living was otherwise known as the 5 Points also. The 5 Points of what? Well, pentagram, a 5-pointed star, also has 5 points. The pentagram is the symbol of the goddess Venus, as in the moon, which was rising above New York, that temporal, strange attractor of cities at the time of Ledger's death. New York was also in the middle of a mini-market meltdown as the news filtered through. A pentagram, of course, is one of the most powerful occult symbols. The area of New York that Ledger died has for many years been known as the 5 Points. The 5 Points was a notorious slum at one time, centered on the intersection of Anthony, now called Worth, on Orange, now called Baxter, Mulberry, which is still the same name, and Cross, now Moscow Street, and breaks into Park Row, and Little Water, which no longer exists, and the eastern corner of a public park called Paradise Square on Manhattan, on the island of Manhattan. The name 5 Points are taken from the 5 corners at this intersection. Broome Street, and the apartment where Ledger died, is at the northern point of the 5 Points, which can be easily seen on Google Map with a balloon. The 5 Points of Rennes-le-Château contained an orangery, and Orange was the name of one of the streets that originally made up the 5 Points. If you wanted to negate the effects of a spell, it is said that the caster should stand within a pentagram. So both Ledger and Saunier died within the confines of 5 Points on the same date, 92 years apart. And I need not remind you that is a hidden, and not very well hidden, 11. Daniel Day-Lewis, I reiterated earlier on tonight's show, on A View from Space on AM 640, Toronto Radio, that I would have more to say about Daniel Day-Lewis. He was one of the first actors to talk about Ledger after he died. He somehow spoke about him in glowing terms and compared himself to Ledger in style and commitment. He also described him as perfect. What's strange about that is Daniel Day-Lewis has also died in the 5 Points too, when he played the character of Bill the Butcher in the film Gangs of New York. Yes, the film directed by Scorsese was actually filmed on a set in Rome, very close to the Vatican, and not New York at all. In it, he recreates the mythical 5 Points area in great detail, and Daniel Day-Lewis meets his maker just yards from the corner of Broome Street where Ledger died. Almost the twins analogy again, which evokes the Olsen twins, which evokes Angelina Jolie just giving birth the other day to twins. And the rumors weeks ago that she had given birth, but was falsely reported, if you'll recall. So twins has been pushed quite heavily in the past 3 months. So the pentagram, or 5-point location system, is also the symbol that Sir Gawain uses as a symbol on his shield as he fights in honor of Mary the goddess. You see, Sir Gawain was the head knight in King Arthur's court. It resonates strongly, doesn't it, with the Antichrist? And with the returning goddess and planetary geometry having many meanings that have different degrees of importance. It's also strongly connected with the beast and the 5 points of the behemoth. But most spectacularly of all, it connects with Sirius, the brightest of the stars and possible home to some extraterrestrial beings.
You're listening to A View from Space with the Spaceman, exercising the rights to free speech while he still can, on AM 640.
Where is he? People are dying. What would you have me do?
Endure. You can be the outcast. You can make the choice that no one else will face. The right choice. Gotham needs you.
I'm Space. This is A View from Space on AM 640, Toronto Radio. Emails can be sent to space@640toronto.com or spaceman@640toronto.com. The subject tonight is, of course, the man who played the Joker in the newest Batman The Dark Knight movie, opening in theaters all over the world this weekend. I'm just going through some of the connections with Berenguer Saunier and Heath Ledger. They don't just share a death date in common of January 22nd. This from the Vatican. The source of the wealth of the priest of Rennes-le-Château was not some ancient mysterious treasure, but good old-fashioned fraud. According to canon law, priests were allowed to say up to 3 masses per day and to accept a fee for requested prayers for the dead. Berenguer Saunier, the Jesuit priest in Rennes-le-Château, however, had been soliciting and accepting money via the mail to say thousands of masses, charging 1 franc per mass, the Vatican has said. Some clients would send payment for hundreds of masses, which he never actually performed, which is where some of the fraud supposedly came in. In 1906, he was summoned before the bishop's court of Carcassonne, where the bishopric ordered Saunier to stop advertising for masses, an order which Saunier strained every effort not to obey. Berenguer Saunier's account books detailing how much money he was receiving from the selling of the masses that he could not actually perform run into thousands of pages. So this doesn't look good for the conspiracy theory idea that he found something under the altar and received some form of hush money from the Vatican.